qualified to forgive man's sin and able to set man free from the slavery of sin. The Lord is qualified to forgive man's sin and able to set him free from the slavery of sin. The Lord not only gives us life, but he also enters into us as our life. Satan's subtlety was not only to cause us to do something wrong, it was to inject himself into us. Thus, sin is no longer merely objective and outward wrongdoing. Sin is in the very subjective nature of our being. It is no longer outside of us, it is inside of us. It has even become our very self, it is in our nature. Therefore, anything that is outside of our nature cannot help us in dealing with the sin that is in our nature. We need another life to come into us. In human history, there is only one person who is able to come into us and be our life to encounter the serpentine nature within us. Confucius or Plato cannot do it. The only one who can do it is Jehovah, the great I am. Only He Himself can come into us as life to counteract the serpentine nature within us. Our slavery is not an outward thing, it is inward, even in our nature. We need another life, a stronger, richer, higher life, to set us free from this slavery. Only the Lord can be such a life. And He truly is such a life because He is the divine life. The divine life is higher than the human life. It is also higher than the satanic life. When this divine life comes into us, it defeats the serpentine life and nature, able to save man from the result of sin, death. The Lord is able to save man from the result of sin, which is death. Once sin has been dealt with, spontaneously the result of sin also will be removed. The religion of law is unable to do this, for it belongs to the tree of knowledge resulting in death. Jesus is the tree of life resulting in life. In principle, saving man from the result of sin is changing death into life. Life Study of John, Message 20. The need of those under the bondage of sin. Life setting free. The way of setting free by the light of life. How does the Lord Jesus set us free from sin? He does it by coming into us as the light of life. This light is not only outside of us, it is in us. When we receive the Lord, He enters into us as our life. This indwelling life now shines within us. That is light. Gradually and spontaneously, this shining of the indwelling life sets us free. To be set free from the bondage of sin is not an overnight matter. It takes time. Although you may be enlivened in 1 second, it is not so simple to be freed from sin. We may use our temper as an illustration. Everyone has a temper. If you do not have a temper, you are not a human being. A table has no temper. Regardless of how much you pound on a table, it will never lose its temper because it has no temper to lose. But how about you? Every person has a certain amount of temper, and this temper is the first expression of our serpentine nature. The primary expression of Satan in us is our temper. Whenever a person loses his temper, he has the appearance of a serpent. No one looks like an angel when he loses his temper. When you lose your temper at your wife, you look like a demon. When a kind mother loses her temper toward her child, the child will be frightened because his mother looks like a demon. When we lose our temper, the serpentine nature is expressed. Our temper bothers us very much. It besets us all the time. During the 50 years that I have been a seeking Christian, nothing has bothered me more than my temper. How difficult it is to be freed from our temper. From my experience, I can testify that since the day the Lord Jesus came into me, He has been my life. This life has been shining within me continually. The more Jesus shines within me, the more I am set free from my temper. Sometimes when I was losing my temper, this light shone strongly. Have you not experienced this as well? While you are losing your temper at your wife, the light shines. The more unbelievers lose their temper, the more temper they have to lose. However, when we, the seeking Christians, begin to lose our temper, we find that we have less and less temper to lose. Sometimes a brother or sister is stopped by the inward shining while he is losing his temper. Something inward shines over him, killing the serpentine nature. After 50 years of experience, I can say that now it is difficult for me to lose my temper. For 50 years, the heavenly radium has been killing the serpentine nature of temper. Radium treatment is given for certain diseases. The patient sits under the radium, and its rays are transfused into him. We have heavenly radium within us, and this radium kills the serpentine nature. This is the light of life which sets us free from the slavery of sin. By the sun as reality, we are set free from sin not only by the shining of the light of life, but also by the sun as reality. The reality is not the so-called truth of doctrine, it is the reality of the truth which is the Lord Himself. In chapter 8, verse 32, we are told that the reality shall set you free. In chapter 8, verse 36, we are told that the Son shall set you free. This proves that the Son, the Lord Himself, is the reality. Since the Lord is the embodiment of God, He is the reality of what God is. Hence, reality is the very divine element of God realized by us. When the Lord as the great I Am comes into us as life, He shines within us as light, which brings the divine element as reality into us. This reality, which is the divine element, imparted into us and realized by us, set us free from the bondage of sin by the divine life as the light of man. The Son of God as the very fullness of the Godhead is the reality. While He shines in us as life, He works His reality, His divine element into our being. This is not merely shining, it is a shining that brings the reality of what God is into our being. Eventually, day after day and year after year, this divine element will be accumulated in our being. Thus, within our being, there will be a certain amount of divine reality. No one can deny this. I have been a seeking Christian for over 50 years. I do not say that I cannot fall or be stumbled. Perhaps tomorrow I shall be stumbled by my dear wife or by one of the brothers. Nevertheless, regardless of how much I may be stumbled, the divine element that has been wrought into my being during the past 50 years can never be lost. Even if I stumble, I will stumble with a great deal of the divine element.